G'day, welcome to the MacPack.
We're back.
Right, show me to my left this week in order of the biggest spooky brother. It's my little brother Joe. How are you, boy?
Yeah, Jay, not gonna lie, I am a massive, scaredy cat. I get scared and I get spooked out.
That surprises no one. And to my right, coming in at 6'1", as is each and every week, it's the baby brother of the pack, who we call Junior Boy. Junior Boy, how are you?
Obviously, me and Joey still living at home. I've got to be the man of the house when he gets scared of all these demons roaming around the home.
There you go. We'll be chatting about spooky stuff off the top, and Joe's even bringing a bit of a haunted house story to the table. Plus, Junior Boy's got a story about another little film operation that he was on over the last couple of weeks. He seems to be getting a fair few of these. I'm excited.
Working up.
I'm excited. Plus, we'll also be discussing something else that I don't even want to scare you with. It's a massive app. Let's get into it. Boys,
Brother Mingos.
How are we all?
Well, I'm going fan-frickin-tastic.
That's good.
And I've got something I want to bring. This came across my desk a bit earlier.
Nice.
I mentioned it to you guys.
What are you scared of off the top? Just quickly, we mentioned earlier.
Being fucking murdered.
Oh, that's very tough. What I've noticed Joe's scared of, probably the weirdest one. You just mentioned it before we jumped on air. You said it's very peculiar that I am happy to sleep not facing the door.
Yeah.
So you know where my bedroom door is?
Yep.
So my bed directly faces a TV, and then right at the TV is my door. So door is in the corner of the room.
Yep.
But,
good feng shui.
But I couldn't put my bed anywhere else. Like, the bed is in the normal place.
That's
that it
where
could
you
sit.
put it, yeah.
And you were like, yeah, that's fine. But I would have to be like angling my body so that my toes are sort of facing the door.
Yeah,
my
face
is door side.
Yeah, my face needs to be looking at the door.
So your back's not to the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could sleep
Is
like
that constantly?
Um,
Do you wake up facing the other way?
So if
When
I
you
wake
roll
up,
over?
that's fine. And sometimes I will, you feel like it'd be way more comfortable on the other side sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah,
I
like a
think that.
50-50 ratio is usually what I run.
Mm-hmm.
So in the middle of the night, that's different. But going to bed.
Yeah.
If I wake up and it's like a bit of a toss and turn, that's fine. But I can't go to sleep facing not the
That's
door.
peculiar. You're not like that.
I used to be the same, and then I grew a set of testicles.
Good. I've never
From the
been
age
like
of 14.
that. Would you be scared? So I live in my place by
I'm
myself.
terrified.
Actually,
To live by yourself? Yeah, I would be.
It's fucking scary as shit.
It would be good, but then it would be like, oh shit! Like,
Yeah.
what if something
What
happened?
if,
What if you watch something scary and then you're just fucked? Or you go to the movies, you watch something scary and come home and then you're by yourself. It's like, oh, my life's ruined.
I must say I've never. That's the question that comes up. They're like, oh, don't. Is it weird living by yourself? A lot of females go, are you scared living by yourself? And I say no. And then a lot of blokes, they don't say you're scared. They go, oh, is it weird? Which means
are you fucking pissing your pants?
Yeah, that's what it means. Like a bloke would never go to another bloke. Not in my experience.
No, I would.
Yeah, but we're just finding the line here, Joe, and you're definitely on one side of it.
It's scary. What if you hear a noise?
Like what?
A massive thud in your garage.
You've seen my garage. If there's a thud in my garage, fucking my golf clubs have fallen over.
Yeah, I think with Jake's house, it is also you're
In a lovely area.
yeah, and you got a lot of people around,
Which
and,
has just
quite
been
close
developed.
together. Where my room, especially where my room used to be,
Yeah.
looking out into that bush bit.
You're in the void.
Yeah, anyone could literally jump that.
Bigger
Man.
land.
Okay, that's fair.
Bigger land allows a lot more.
I don't have yard
creepiness.
space that people could fall into. You have to sort of have a key to fall into
Yeah.
my place.
Yeah.
And also, my rooms have always had a giant window which could be smashed.
So, for context, and we will get into the scary stuff in a moment, but so I've got, where my oval is, the rugby oval near my place. So, I don't know if I've mentioned this. You were talking about morning walks
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. I've done a few morning walks,
Nice.
but I'm a bit of a night owl. I went and kicked the footy at that park by myself at 9:30, 9:45 at night. Would you do that? Or is that too scary for you?
No, that's not scary. It's even this park the bush bit that I'm scared of when I'm in the house. If I'm out there at night, whatever, take the dog for a walk at night or whatever, or if I need to go out there for something, that's not scary because you can see everything. But being in the house, and knowing that that's out there and not being able to like see it all.
Okay.
I also hate like a dark window.
That's what I was going to get to. So
One of the
I've been
scariest
called
things.
into your room when I was still living at
Yeah,
home.
if someone else got to shut the blind.
I was still living at home, and Joe come into my room. I was watching TV or doing something, and he walked in and goes, "Oh, do you mind just coming with me for a sec?" And I was like, "What? Where are we going? Like, are we going on a fucking adventure? What's happening?" And he goes, "No, just to my room." I was like, "All right,
Yeah.
not sure what we're doing in there." And then he said, we got there, and he said, "Can you pull down my blinds?" And I thought you were taking the red hot piss, but you were serious. You get scared of essentially a black mirror, in the sense that if there's a reflection on a black
Yeah.
background, you get
See,
the
it was
heebie-jeebies.
especially Joe's window that was always like the one in question, because it does get really dark at your window for some reason. And I remember also having to come into your room sometimes. And one time you weren't home, and I was in your room trying to find dress shoes for a formal event that I was going to the next day.
Oh, I remember this.
And
This
I
is
was
the night
sitting-
that Shane Warne passed away.
Oh, it was like moments after.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the bed trying on on your shoes, and I was listening to some music, and I found these shoes. They're all held dusty,
That's right.
and I dusted them off,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then sat down on the bed, and I was just enjoying my lovely night, and then tied them up, and then I heard this massive knock on the window, and I looked, and it was the black window, and I was like, holy shit, the thing Joe's been scared of for years has finally come to it's happening. Someone's out there. So I booked it to mum and dad's room.
He yelled. I've never heard him yell louder. He slammed a door. He screamed, sprinted faster than I've ever seen him sprint. And like, I've never seen you that scared in my life.
Yeah, because
You
I was
ran
like,
straight to mum's room. And then I ran, because we've got security at home. And I'm looking at the,
whoa.
That's the aircon, right?
Shit, that was weird.
That is
We just got
scared
this
the
really
shit out of
weird
me.
noise in the studio just then.
that was
turned
telly.
on. See, that shit fucks me.
Is it the
I can't
aircon?
sleep
I won't be able
tonight.
to sleep tonight. Friends will be getting a run on. I think the aircon turned on.
Yeah, I think it was the aircon. But
Uh,
nevertheless, that was
the
fucked. We just
time-
all looked at each other like,
Yeah,
what
the
was
time-
that?
If anyone's watching, if you're listening to this, just jump on YouTube. Fucking work out what timestamp it is. There was a real air of, where
Let's
should
stop talking about this.
We might be fucking up.
See, oh, God. And anyway, yeah, so this
That's
that
the
happened.
aircon. It's getting cold.
And then what happened?
I ran to mum and dad's room and I was like, Dad, like dead ass. And the worst part was that like they didn't try and break the window, they knocked. It was like a 3 knock. So I was like, they're fucking taunting with me, whoever that is. And so I ran to Dad, and Dad was like, what do you mean? So he walked out the back, walked around, couldn't find anyone. And I
I'm
was like,
looking
well,
on
they
the
jumped the
security
fence or something.
cameras, trying to like map out where this person's gone.
Anyway, and then everyone was like, well, it was like 5-10 minutes of looking around.
And the dog didn't go off or anything.
Yeah. And the dog always went off when it barked. So then we were just like, oh, well, whatever it was, wasn't there anymore. So there's nothing we can do about it. Anyway, so then go on with my night, like 20 minutes later. Then I'm in the linen cupboard getting a towel to go have a shower, have my music in again. And then I hear the knock again in the fucking linen cupboard. And I look to my right and I'm like, holy shit, it's there. And nothing was there. And then I was like, wait a minute. There's one common denominator here. I've had my AirPods in listening to this song.
The song had a
And
very,
I'd never heard the song
very,
before.
very loud knock.
And it had a knock that sounded bang on like it was in your right ear. And it was like, sounded like it was in a room. I
Yeah.
full shat myself.
And it's fair enough. He played it to me, and I went, "Yeah, that would get me. 100%
Yeah.
that would get me."
What the fuck?
Because like, you know on Spotify when it just like does like the once you finish a playlist, it just goes on and plays
Yeah.
music. I can't remember the song. Never listen to it again because it's so frightening.
There
But
you
yeah.
go.
Joe's fun.
That's giving me the heebie-jeebies. See, like that, like tonight, like I won't, like I only put Friends on the TV. That's why we put Friends on the TV.
Friends,
Yeah, with no volume.
Sitcom.
the TV show with no volume. Why?
Like a
So I can go
nightlight.
to sleep. Yeah, like a nightlight. But with Joey and Chandler.
Nice. Well, that's
I'm
fair
up to about. I don't watch Friends ever, except for that night when I get scared. I'm up to about halfway through the season 6. I think Monica and Chandler just started dating.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so this thing came across my desk.
Spoilers if you haven't seen Friends.
This came across my desk. The house from Halloween, obviously the scary movie with Jason is the killer.
Yeah.
That house went for sale. It sold for $1.8 million in the US.
Fair
Obviously,
punt.
it's a famous house. It's quite a big, nice house. They shot a movie there. $1.8 million dollars. But then a lot of people were saying like, I wouldn't want to live in that house because, you know, it was like a, you know, horror movie was filmed there. It's got a bit of bad vibes.
Yeah.
And then it made me think of the question, like, would you live in a haunted house? And then I was doing a bit of research for this segment.
You won't even live in like an unhaunted.
Yeah.
No, they give me the freaks. And then I did some research. Right, I was looking at a Reddit thread about like spooky things that happened in Perth for a bit of a spooky segment for the podcast, and came across what is called the Bernie house. Have you guys heard about the Bernie couple?
I have.
So basically, it was
No.
a couple. Mum and dad definitely.
It's
would've-
always these stories.
I mentioned it to Mum the other year, but I'll get into that in a sec. Continue on with your story. I've got some news to break.
So basically, this is a house that a couple who in the 80s in Perth were serial killers. I
In
think.
Perth.
They were serial killers, and
What?
their house that they lived in went for sale,
Mm-hmm.
and it sold for about $425K. And apparently, the people who bought it were like
Cheap as chips.
chuffed because they got a pretty good bargain or whatever. And then all the comments were saying like, "Nah, like I wouldn't. You know, how can you live there? Because it's like fucking creepy as shit. These people live there." And I didn't even realize at the time reading this. I was like, "Geez, I wouldn't want to live where serial killers live." But they killed 2 people in that house.
4.
No, I thought they killed 4 people in total, but they only killed 2 people in the house.
Oh, okay. Well, what happened was, so they kidnapped young girls, took them back to this place, and then essentially like tortured them, raped them, and murdered them. And from what I've seen, I believe that there was 5. 4 of them ended up dying, and the 5th one managed to
Run away. Yeah.
run away and escape. And this property still exists, obviously. The house
It's a
still exists.
Willogy, yeah.
They've done a renovation on the place.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't look creepy at all.
So how I found out about it was it popped up in our group chat, a few of my mates' group chat.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'd ever heard about it. This is a couple years ago. And it turns out that one of my mates' relatives is selling the property. He's a real estate agent. He's selling. He's actually sold the property a handful of times.
Yeah, last time it sold, I think, was in 2021.
Yeah, so he sold it a handful of times.
People keep coming and going.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people move house all the
Yeah.
time.
But yeah, it was very interesting. And you'll know the guy. If I mention the name, you'll know him. So we'll talk about that off air. But very interesting to think. And yeah, he sold it. He himself, the guy I'm talking about, has been able to sell the house multiple times himself, which I think is a massive feat alone. Like,
As a real estate agent.
So would you
toughest gig to sell
Would I
that
live in
property.
a serial killer's house? No.
Yeah.
No, just buy another one.
But why?
Well, there's better ones. You can buy a house where no one's been killed. I'd prefer that.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that there would, I don't
like,
know. Do you
unless it
believe
was
in like
like-
the whole spirit thing? It's like, I just think
Yeah,
that
I
there's-
It would, the reason why I wouldn't do it is because the whole time you're there,
Yeah, that's
all you're thinking about.
yeah. Even if I was like walking past, that's all I'd be thinking
Yeah.
about.
Or
The only
like just
person
like a
that's-
room at night, you'd walk past and it'd be dark, and you just look in there and be like, I wonder what's happened in there.
Yeah.
Like
Nah,
it's
it's a bit-
not
yeah.
knowing.
It's gross.
Yeah.
You go.
Although, I did also think that about the shopping centre near our house.
Yeah.
Because obviously there was a pretty tragic thing that happened there where a girl was murdered, among other things. And I remember always having like a weird feeling whenever I saw the shopping centre and stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. I was the same.
I don't
We
go
were-
in those toilets. They've installed new ones on the other side of the shops. I've never been.
Yeah, I've never been in the toilet. So.
Well, actually,
I don't know
went-
which ones it
I
is.
went-
Did you mention that it happened in the toilet block? I don't know if we did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was when we were pretty young as well. Mum vowed never to go to the shopping centre at all, and now
Yeah.
Now we go there.
we
Constantly.
live very close to the place. But no, I've never been to the toilet block ever in my life.
Actually, I have been in there once. It's
Wait, which
weird.
which toilet is it? Is it the one?
I don't know.
Next
That's,
to I don't know.
like, don't really care, to be honest. It's not. I'm never
Yeah.
going into any of them. Very, very murky behaviour.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
rather stay away from it.
Yeah.
Even being now that you say that, being close to the shops just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Even driving around the back, we drive around the back all the time. That's
Yeah.
where it happened.
No, I don't
No, it
think
was
so.
in
It happened
the
in the
toilet.
toilet.
Yeah, but you got. Oh, well, maybe we shouldn't go into that detail about it. I don't know.
Anyway, but it's just there was a thing where it was something that I always thought I'd never like get over it. But then you go to the shops and you're like, oh, it's just like a normal shop still.
Yeah, I wonder what the vibe would have been like. I couldn't imagine being a cleaner or even an employee at the place during the week that had
Yeah.
occurred. Yeah, it would just give you incredible weird feelings. I
Yeah,
think.
definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Fun chat. I hope you're enjoying
It's
your Friday mornings.
It's almost a spooky Halloween special.
Mm.
Yeah, almost. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies just talking about it. But there you go.
Yeah.
Would you purchase the property? No, I think that's the
Nah,
general
stay far away
gist.
from it.
No, from you.
No, I wouldn't.
I think it's interesting. I'd love to know if the people who have purchased the property are made aware, because I believe in WA, if you're asked, you have to be told, but if you don't ask, you won't be told. That seems to be what I've found in my research. Is so like this property can live, and you could be sold it, and you're none the wiser, and that's fine. But the moment you go, hey, is there been any weird shit that's going on here?
Yeah.
They have to tell you what's happened.
Yeah, because even at our house, it had all the security cameras and stuff.
The fake security cameras, yeah.
What do you mean? What do you,
Yeah.
don't go starting. Don't go starting more weird shit.
Family
You
drama.
never know.
You'll never know. There you go. Love it. All right, it's time to change up the vibe a little bit, boys. Bring back some energy. It's one of our favorite segments here that we do on the MacPack podcast. It centers around the youngest of siblings' adventures at university.
Of course, it's time for Riley's Roundup. University's best. He's the rootinest, tootinest, uni shooting in the wild, wild west.
Take it away, Junior boy.
Boys. Obviously, coming to the climax of my
Pardon? Can you say that?
of my uni career, trying to get more work in the actual industry, which I have been lucky enough to be doing. I've been doing some corporate work with some cool companies recently.
Very nice.
Me and two of my best friends from uni, we've been tasked with making a safety video for local and international business.
Oh,
Recently.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, right up our wheelhouse. And so I don't own all the equipment that you need to shoot these videos.
Yep.
No, none of us do. But luckily, still being at uni, we borrow the uni's equipment.
Nice. Life hack.
But the
Go to
uni's,
uni.
so the uni's equipment, right? So we pay a lot of fees,
Mm.
and in the fees, essentially, is paying for our tuition and use and access
hire.
to
Yep.
equipment. Yeah,
Yep.
right.
It's like, yep.
But that goes to a certain extent of you're not allowed to use it when it's not a uni thing.
Yeah, okay. So it's like you can use it to do assignment stuff. You can't use it for cashies.
But they knew we were doing the cashie.
Oh.
But when I booked out the equipment to use, I just didn't mention that it was a cashie.
Yep.
Right?
Allegedly.
Anyway, so then I am there last Friday and I go over to our loans desk where our lovely loans lady is. And I say, hey, loans lady, here's all the equipment we want to book out. She gets it all out for us. It's like 2 carloads. And we're like, cool, thank you very much.
2 carloads. How
And-
much stuff have you got at the university? Is this gonna sink the ship for a while or?
No. This is like
Heaps.
6 people could get 2 carloads.
Okay.
Like there's,
They got 12 carloads of stuff.
yeah, there's like,
Right, good
there's
to know.
heaps of shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like 3 films could be out shooting at once. Anyway, but then she said, oh, but there's one thing I can't get you, Riley. And it's your sound mixer, which is what you plug all the microphones into,
Yep.
which records your sound. And you can monitor the levels. It's basically
yeah,
that.
not
Like
too
a
dissimilar to
roadcaster.
this.
But it's a it's like a full location one in like a satchel that you take around, right?
cool.
And I am most well versed with this one specific mixer. And then so she was like, but we don't have it. And I was like, of course, it's my thing that she doesn't have.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
annoying. My one main thing that I need, she doesn't have. And I was like, oh, what are we going to do? Anyway, she was like, oh, well, I can maybe pull a few strings, call up a few other students who have extended their loans and get them to come into campus today to give it back to you. Right? Which is like a major thing.
Yeah,
She's
that's
like,
a
Yeah,
cool
she's
one.
doing you a
She could
solid.
just tell you to go fuck yourself.
and then I was like, oh, I don't want to be annoying, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no. She was like, how long are you going to be on campus? I was like, well, I don't have anything like planned. Like, I don't need to be here or whatever. And then I was like, 3 hours. And she was like, I will get you a mixer in the next 3 hours.
You should have said shorter.
So I
yeah, 3 minutes.
so I stood there and she called up students, found students walking past, and she just called them in and was like, hey, you have a Mix Pre 6. I need it back now. Anyway, she eventually got me one, right? So
Are
I
you
spent,
guys friends? Like, is she
yeah, yeah,
get on really well?
yeah. She takes care of us.
You said us, but you mainly. Is
Well,
that-
in my group, my friends,
Yeah, yeah.
my film groups. Anyway, it's just like well respect. She understands that we try our hardest, so she wants to help us out to
That's nice.
let us keep trying our hardest. And then but she didn't know that it was for a cashier, right? Anyway.
She does now.
But anyway, so she called up these people. She got us the mixer and she gave it to us like 3 hours. Anyway, she was like messaging me on my personal number, which I don't know how she found, but she just was messaging on my personal number like, hey, Riley, like I've got it now. Like, come back. Like, I'll give it to you. Anyway. So now I've got her number. And then I messaged her like that night, like, thank you so much for spending like 3 hours of your day literally just trying to get me this one sound.
Yeah,
device.
but she's like working.
Yeah, but she could literally just be kicking back doing fuck all.
Oh, yeah.
But she was like, she could have been like, nah, I don't have it.
Yeah, and
That's-
and then I was like,
I
all
would
right.
have done.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, anyway, but she was like calling up all these. Anyway, so she got me
that's
on
a
it.
shame, isn't
So
it?
we waited.
Oh.
So we waited 3 hours for it, and we finally got it. And I was like, thank God, like, especially for a cashier, you don't want to be stuffing up on the job.
Yeah.
You do not want to be stuffing up when you're getting cash for a job because the client is paying you money
Yeah, we
to
understand.
supply.
Yep.
I know what a
job.
cashier
We
is.
know,
Yeah.
So anyway, so
Job.
we get this mixer, and then I'm like, thank God, I get it all ready over the weekend, prepare
Thank God.
it,
You mean thank Lone Lady?
and then thank landlady. Anyway, so then we get on set, we get on location yesterday at this place, and I'm using this mixer, and then I get we start recording an interview, and then we finish the first interview, and then I've checked my phone. I've gotten 8 missed calls from this lady, and I'm like, God, I've had it for the weekend. She knows I need it for a week. I'm like, what could she possibly be calling me about? And then I read the message, and it goes.
So she's left a voice message, or she's then texted.
She texts me, right? And so all her messages before this were all like emoji filled, like, hey Riley, like really all sweet and stuff. And then she just hit me with, hey, there's an urgent recall on the MixPre 6s. There's a major safety concern with them. We need you to bring it back today. Please do not use it or turn it on. And I was like, what the hell's going on? She
And is
was
it
like,
on sitting in your lap at the moment?
yeah, it's been on for like the last 2-3 hours being used.
Are they new? Or have you
No,
used
they've been using for like the last 5 years.
So the chances of them being recalled on this day,
yeah.
almost so that can't happen. Like that is wild.
Is that how she got the people to bring him back?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, is she like...
Is this a play?
Yeah, and then I was like, what's going on? And she was like, there's something wrong with the amount of power voltage that's going in them, and it will blow up. Like, it is going to explode if you don't stop using it.
And how?
And I'm like,
Why
"For
today?
I'm like, well, essentially it was like, we've had
Did you Google
2
it?
blow up over the weekend.
Oh.
Yours is gonna. They're all running the exact same amount of power. It's just a matter of time until yours does.
Wow.
Wait, did you Google to see if it was a real thing?
No, it is. I know it is because I know that they'd made the adjustments to it that sent more power to them. Anyway, so then I was like,
So you've got a bomb on the work site.
I've got a C4 device strapped to my hip, and I'm like, oh
How
my
big's
god.
the explosion? Did she mention like what the other ones were like?
I don't know, but she said
Like
the
Johnny's died.
She said
Unfortunately,
explode.
John's
Yeah.
died and you're next.
word. Anyways, but like the word explode was exchanged, so I was like, Jesus. And I know these mixers cost like 10K, and we're not earning enough money from this cashier to keep it going. And I was like, oh my golly gosh. Anyway, so then lucky my friend was at uni, and she was like, hey, she knew that I was on the cashier. So she was like, hey, I can bring you another little shitty mixer that they have, but you've got to turn this off. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm on set with this like professional client that owns a multinational, like a national
company.
business. Like I can't really just be like, Soundy's got an issue. He's got a
Yeah.
C4
Yeah.
device. He's bringing a C4
By the way,
device
guys,
into
this is the
office.
bomb. This is the bomb I brought.
Anyway, so much stress went through our heads. And we were like, oh my God, like we've got to now just stop production. Everyone tools down. We've got to wait, and we've got to turn this off. This is no longer useful. So then I get the new, and so my friend calls me and she's like, all right, I'll bring it down. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much, whatever. Bringing it, and then she brings me the new mixer, which is this little pocket thing. It's so tiny. Anyway, and I'm like, oh God, I've only used this like once before. Don't want to be using it for the first time with a professional job. Anyway, so then I'm like, all right, I'll swap my SD cards out. So I'll swap my old SD card from the other mixer into my new SD card.
Yep.
Old SD card has a lot of footage and interviews on it already that we've recorded all morning with the client. There's new SD card, no footage on it. And I was like, I'll just swap them so that way I'm recording everything onto the same SD.
Yep.
Anyway,
Makes sense.
so then I'm setting up my new mixer. I've got the other one in the office, like turned off to the side. Nothing's on it. Anyway, and then I've got my new SD card in the new mixer, and I'm flicking through, trying to set it all up. And then I'm just scrolling through, and I completely forget I've changed SD cards and I've gone to the word format. I don't know if you guys know what format means.
Yeah, delete.
Delete everything. And I've clicked the word delete everything. Deleted everything. Everything from the shoot. Gone.
How many hours of work?
Probably like technically only 2. But the client has already thought we were slow. And this whole thing with the mixer, we definitely asking her to do it all again. Shocker. Yeah, deleted it all though. And I was like,
Just feel like that was part of the issue. With the
yeah, well, that's the thing. I said to the boys, I was like, look, I've just deleted everything. And they're like, they knew that that is like a situation where someone like melts down because like you've just lost it all. And they were like so understanding. They were like, they're not usually like this, but they were like, oh, it's fine, bro. We'll just do it again. And I was like, oh, it's not fine. Like, this is a major fuck up. Anyway, we did it all again.
So you got the chick back to check.
Yeah. Well, she was with us the whole day. So we got her back. We just smashed it out in like 2 minutes.
And did you have to explain to her what happened?
We explained a truth to her.
Yeah, okay, right, that's fair.
We said there was problems with the mixer. We got to do it again.
Well, that's correct.
Which is correct.
There's also problems with the bloke using the mixer.
But
that was the biggest issue.
But when I was sitting on the floor, the mixer has...
So why did you delete it? Is it just...
Because
he was just formatting.
I was like, oh, this has another SD card in it. I'll just delete everything off the oldest. Like this SD, in case it has like Jimmy from second year's recordings on it.
But it had Riley from third year's.
Yeah, client recordings.
Oof.
And then I had to bring the mixer
At what
back.
moment did you realise?
When I clicked... Because I clicked the word format...
Because I've always found that like you're in a blur, you're in a blur, until
also
you hit that and then it goes deleted and you go, oh fuck, oh fuck, hang on, that's my shit.
Well, so the reason I was like in a fluster is because I was setting up a brand new mixer that I'd never used before or used once before. So I was already like rushing through everything, get it all working so I can keep going because we'd already been behind.
How'd that work out for you, champ?
And then, and then I clicked the word format and it was taking ages. It was like loading on the format thing. And I was like, just like looking at it like, dude, it's taking ages. Like it took like 5 seconds. And then it was still going. And I was like, wait a minute, that's got the fucking old SD in it. So I pulled out, I don't know, just instinctively, I just yanked out all the cords, which did nothing. But I yanked out all the cords, then turned it around and just pulled like the clip that has the double A's in it.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I jammed my fingers through all of it and just ripped out the double A's and like threw them across the office and they went flying on the floor.
I'm sure that's good for it.
And then I turned it around and then plugged the batteries back in and it was formatted already.
I'm sure if it wasn't, it would have been fucked.
And then my mate...
Imagine it's like beyond corrupt. like it would come out
Did you
just
safely
melted.
eject? Yeah, I threw the batteries across the road.
and then my mate was standing. He walked in like, as soon as I threw the batteries away, and then I was just standing there looking at the mixer, and then I was just like, "Fuck!" And he was like, "What's up, bro?" And I was like, "Nothing, nothing yet." Like, oh god. But yeah, then we returned the C4 device, and I'm expected to use it tomorrow on day of recording.
Wait, the bomb?
The C4 device. Apparently, they're getting fixed, and hopefully, it's not going to blow up in my arms tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, crazy, eh?
So usually there's a hacks. Not a hack?
No,
not a hack.
This is everything went wrong on me.
Life lesson.
But we persevered and we got great recordings.
There you go. Alrighty, boys. Just want to bring this one up. This was happened a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, the Barbie movie doing very well.
Oh yeah,
A couple of months ago. And it's something that came up at the time, and I just thought I'd marinate on it and then bring it to you just to see what you thought. All right. This is a conversation that took place at a workplace. It might have been my workplace. It may not have been my workplace. Might not be my current workplace. Might have been an old workplace. Might be a future workplace. Probably not a future workplace. Tough to tell a story about a future workplace. There was a bunch of like middle-aged type ladies.
my favorite kind.
In this debate, in this chat, right? So the
At your work, yeah.
Yeah, where else?
I
In my mind.
I thought you meant in the movie. And
No. And they were discussing the new movie that was coming out at the time, which was the Barbie film.
Okay.
There was a discussion had two main characters being Margot Robbie.
Yep.
And Ryan Gosling.
Gosling, yep.
As Barbie and Ken.
There was a discussion at the time. I'm sitting in my own office. I can overhear these ladies chatting. And the discussion was essentially very poignant and very hard to ignore. And it centered around their excitement for seeing Ryan Gosling in the film,
Mm-hmm.
particularly addressing how sexy he was,
Okay.
going as far as to mention his abs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't want to be out of line, so I'll say allegedly, just in case this didn't happen, potentially talking about a bulge.
My favourite.
Interesting.
And I just thought, like, it doesn't faze me. That's fine. You can talk about that. That's got, I don't know, that's chill. That's chill with me. That doesn't bother me. I would feel weird if I was in the situation.
It's not really a workplace chat.
Well, it just sort of sprung to fruition out of nowhere. And there was just a lot of like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see him and watch his
bulge.
6-pack and all this sort of stuff. And I was
And
like,
his
oh,
bulge. Like, that's
He was
such a
playing,
well,
weird-
let's
he was
not
playing a
address the
character with
bulge.
no penis.
let's not address the bulge stuff so much because that might have, as part of the marination, built up. But
Yep.
the 6-pack stuff was definitely part of it, and just like the general interest in how he looks.
How he looked, yeah.
And I just, at the time, I was like, yeah, that's interesting. Like, that's not a conversation that I would want to be part of myself. But if you guys want to have that conversation, that's fine.
Yep.
I'm not offended in any way, shape, or form. And then it dawned on me that, like, there is male people at this place. And let's say, for instance, me and a couple of the lads were in the same position.
Yeah.
And there was, the roles were reversed. And I was chatting to a couple of my mates at the time about my interest in going to see the film for the pure reason, or a primary reason as to, and I don't even want to say it now, but I think you can imagine what I'm going to say surrounding maybe a female
Bulge.
Yeah, well, a female.
Their respective.
Yeah, if you were just to flip it and say that there was a discussion being had about probably a comparable visual on a female anatomy,
Mm-hmm.
how that would probably potentially be perceived.
I reckon you'd be working there much longer.
Nah.
And it was just, I just thought at the time, that conversation, I don't necessarily have anything wrong with it. But I just think that if it was me having that chat, I definitely wouldn't be going about it anywhere near as liberally, to the point where I don't even want to mention it now as an example in a closed space where we have full control over what goes out.
Whether or not this
Because I
goes
just
in.
don't think that I would, I don't know, I just don't want to paint a massive target on my face.
Mm.
And that just leads me to the question is why do we live in that sort of space and territory where it's a peculiar one for mine?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think the reason, well, firstly, I think part of the reason why that conversation probably happened is because, as you said, they were a bit older. And I find that, like, especially having worked in a place with really young people and having moved to a place with, like, a bit older people, the sort of chats that happen around the office that are okay in one place definitely wouldn't have been okay in the previous place.
Yep.
Just because of, like, different.
But are you then saying that, like, you've brought up the age of them? If I said it was 4 blokes my dad's age, our dad's age, having that same chat, I reckon that would be worse than if it was 4 people my age. If it was us 3 having that chat, it might seem like a bit more jovial. If it was 4 blokes
it's more
who were
creepy.
60, it's just like, what a bunch of creepy old blokes. But if you're a woman, I don't know that. And I'm not
Kind
trying to
of
play a gender rule or anything like that. I'm just saying that in that situation, I don't like they were fine in my opinion. I didn't even think of it as being too weird. But it was only when I was like, oh, maybe if we flipped it and those 4 ladies are 4 blokes, for example.
Yeah.
I just don't think that chat would be taking place
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
as freely as it may have.
I think part of the reason is obviously, like, back in the day, like, for example, like Mad Men time, it would be a bunch of lads saying, you know, gross stuff about the women in the office or whatever.
Yep.
And that was fine.
Yep.
And that was fine for ages until eventually we went,
It's not fine.
Actually, that's not fine.
Yeah.
And now all of us know that's not fine.
Mm.
And
We don't. say
we're
that.
just sort of more conscious about, I'm not going to comment on that kind of thing.
Yep.
Where I guess like maybe because it's not as much of like it was never like a big issue that women would say that stuff about guys, then like this is a pretty offhand. It's rare for this to come up. It's a movie about a guy who's like plays essentially Ken, like the hottest person ever.
Oh,
And
Joey's jumped. Mate,
Yeah, but that's like-
is that your opinion?
Joey.
Huh? I do think Ryan Gosling is quite a looker, but it's like that's not like a weekly chat they have about.
No, but neither would it be if I was doing it. I wasn't like, all right, now we're doing the weekly meeting where we talk
No, but
about
it's like-
breasts. Boys, rally up.
I also wonder if it plays into the frequency card of if someone was to say that stuff about me, I might find it flattering because I don't hear it that often. But if someone was to say it about a young female who might,
Okay.
that beration might be occurring frequently, it becomes annoying and it becomes like, that's all I ever hear about. But if I heard it, it'd be like, oh, I actually haven't heard that ever.
That's a
kinda
good
nice.
point.
I think also, so the bowl stuff, that's obviously like, that's a different ball game, but
The whole just like, oh, babe,
Yeah.
chill out.
that's strange. But with the 6-pack thing, it is also like,
That's strange.
like you don't just have a 6-pack. Like you need to put in like a lot of work to like
You want
be-
a compliment.
Yeah, it's similar to when
But but that could be compared with other areas of your body.
yeah,
If I wanted a tight ass,
but if
that's
you
not just gifted to me after a couple of hamburgers.
That's from the
yeah,
hemorrhoids.
that's them. Yeah,
Same
that's a whole nother. I hear the hemorrhoids are bulging in that. Strange. Yeah, I think that's also can be a sort of thing where, like, for a lot of like lads to have like a good body or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you got to be like hitting the gym like a shitload to be like jacked, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a bit more like,
Yeah.
like you've
Oh,
like
that's
been
fair.
making like
Making an
good
effort.
progress. Like for example, out
Would you feel comfortable if you were in that situation?
If someone said it to me,
Let's
About-
say if you
about
were,
me?
let-
if they
let's-
were like,
so
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
all right. What about if you were just the fifth person in the chat?
Oh, I wouldn't feel that safe being in the room. I just feel weird.
I feel
like-
weird, yeah. I
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
If I was saying it to my face, I'd be like, "Whoa, this is getting weird."
yeah.
But if I heard like externally, like, "Oh, someone was talking about this," I'd be like, "Oh, really?"
I just found it very interesting. And if I brought that up, let's say if I did have an issue with it and I brought that up with someone,
Mm.
then I'd be laughed out the door, I reckon. It'd be just like, hey, come on. Grow up.
Yeah.
Where if it was, let's say, for example, let's completely flip it. 26-year-old girl sitting in office hearing 4 blokes chat about Margot Robbie's ability.
Yeah.
Physique.
And then they went and had a chat to a higher up.
Yeah.
The consequences
they would
of
be-
that conversation are going to be vastly different to if I was to walk in.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's necessarily right or wrong. I'm just asking why that is. And we can leave that there. That's the extent of what we need to discuss.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring it to you. Just wanted to bring it up.
And I think that might change with time as well. I think eventually there'll be a day where no one will talk about that.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that was a perspective. We do a lot of perspective stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine to say that as well because, like, maybe not you felt uncomfortable, but, like, another bloke might. One of my mates might find that uncomfortable. So it's like,
Yeah. Someone.
I don't want my
like,
mate to be
like,
weirded out.
I
at work.
feel all right because I've got a massive bulge. So I know that
Yeah.
I'm in, like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But if someone had a micro bulge,
Mm.
who knows? My biggest question moving forward is, and I've brought this up a lot in person, not necessarily on the podcast, but like, as you mentioned, the stuff that went by 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yep.
My question is, what sort of stuff are we chatting about at the moment that you won't be able to chat about in 20 years?
Yeah. And that's why we'll sort of purge all the episodes every 5 years.
Because I think that the conversations that we're having currently, even if like I listen to a few archival radio station
Oh,
shows,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
from a few of the big hitters, we won't name them, but big icons in Australia.
Yeah, ones that you would all know and love.
Yep.
Would have said things that you wouldn't know and love.
Yeah, and I'm listening to like 2006, and they're going on about a specific time, a specific thing. And at the time, we could all sort of laugh because it wasn't, I don't know, there wasn't like a stigma around it.
Yeah.
It was just, it is what it is. If that sort of stuff went to radio now, like if you played specific clips, I could probably grab any random day and just grab a clip, just plonk it on there.
Yeah.
If you heard that now, mate, they're not working tomorrow. They're just blatantly not going to work.
I think the best thing to use like as an example for that would be like if using the word like boomer in 10 years or 20 years or whatever was like using like a slur. And then people had all these old videos of you saying like, oh, like there's boomer. Yeah.
Like this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like now obviously it's like a tongue in cheek sort of thing to say.
Oh yeah.
But then like in 20 years that might be like saying
A derogatory term.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But there you go. Just thought I'd bring a little bit of... We've taken a few different turns on this week's episode, but
Yeah.
there you go.
Something to think about.
Food for thought. Alrighty, boys, it's time for our favourite weekly segment. It's our only weekly segment. It's time for our Everyday Hero. This week, bit of a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah,
this one.
definitely.
We've only awarded a handful of these in the past, but it is only fitting that we award this one this week as well. A couple of weeks ago, our grandfather on Dad's side, so Dad's dad passed away, mainly just due to old age.
Old age, yeah. He was 92.
Yeah, he just had a fucking huge innings and a very hard fought innings at that.
Yep.
Frank McKenna Sr.
Yeah, Frank Sr. So Dad's dad, a remarkable man in so many different ways. Probably most astutely known for his strength.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a very rough outer shell. So he was a bricklayer.
Yeah.
And he laid bricks until he was like in his 80s.
I think Dad told me once he started when he was like 12 or something.
Yeah.
Fucked.
So his dad started very young.
when he was 12.
Yeah, Dad started very young, and he went to work with his dad. So like on Saturdays, Dad used to go and lay bricks with his dad.
And Dad, working also as a grip, bowed out at around 50, 45. You know, Frank Sr. went on.
Oh, it's a tough gig
for another 40
it's
years.
a very tough gig to do. But
Did you do it for a day?
Yeah.
2 days. I did 2 days.
With Frank Sr. or with Frank Jr.?
God, no. My God. Jesus
You
Christ.
wouldn't be
He would
allowed
have been
on that.
He
embarrassed.
would be a different man.
He wouldn't let me leave that place. I'd probably still be there sweeping up the floors. My God. Yeah, no, I did do it for a couple of days.
Labourer. That'd be sick.
I would love to go back. I couldn't though, because Dad doesn't do it. And I wouldn't work for
that's
anyone
why.
else. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the reason I had to stop. But Frank Sr. was obviously kicked off his life in Ireland. Then he moved across. We gave a Lifetime Achievement Award to Phyllis, our grandmother. It was his wife probably 12 months ago, near on exactly 12 months ago. But yeah, Frank was a bricklayer for basically 75 years. He literally stopped bricklaying in his mid-80s and then retired and then got...
it was like by force. It wasn't even by choice anymore.
Yeah.
It was like, you cannot lay one more brick.
Yeah.
He laid his last brick and was like, I'm done.
I learned about like the 90-degree angle purely based on that man's back. He used to... Because obviously when you're laying bricks for so long, he got like a proper hunchback cranking.
Yeah.
But fuck, he was...
Apparently he was tall. Back when he could stand up straight.
He's like 7 foot tall, this man.
Yeah.
7 foot long. 3x3. But yeah, he was an absolute gem. And he was actually hilariously funny as well. Like he took great pride in like the three of us as well. He would always have a yarn with like, Jojo.
Yeah. That's my
Jojo.
secret
Jojo.
family nickname.
Come on, Jojo. Jojo, come over here. He always loved you, Joe.
Yeah, everyone does.
I think it's because you're a little weak bitch.
There was one funny clip we watched. We were watching like old clips, old funny home videos.
Yeah.
And he's a big boxer back when he lived in Northern Ireland, as they
And
all
was
are.
I think you mentioned he was in the United Twos team.
I was United.
The Man United Twos.
Yeah, he played.
What?
Like
It's
equivalent
very
to playing
hard.
for like
Soccer.
Peel Thunder for the Dockers.
First time hearing
Frank
about
Senior
it.
was in the United Twos.
Yeah, and then he had a knee injury. Didn't play anymore.
We've all been there.
But he's big boxer, right? Loved a little left, right. And then we had a boxing
Punching bag,
punching bag in our
Really good garage.
And then there was this funny clip of him and little fetal Joe. Joe.
I remember this. I haven't seen the footage, but I remember.
Joe
Oh,
would have been
yeah.
about 3.
And then he like gave it a jab, and then it like swung back and then bumped you, and then
You just cracked
you
it.
literally just turned around and walked out.
You literally put your face went straight down in your lap, and then you just started crying, and then you just like sulked off.
And he's like,
And poor Frank's standing next to the punching bag, like trying to show you what to do, and he's watched that unfold, and he just goes, Giorgio.
Yeah, I just got punched in the face.
No, you didn't
never-
get punched, man. This bag was like stationary.
You'll never be a brickie.
But no, he's a star. He used to perch up with us. How good was like the chocolates? Like Easter would swing around and he'd just be perched there and he'd just go, "You just want chocolates? Take us out to like the back shed."
Yeah, like where that weird like laundry bit is.
Yeah, that was like his
Yeah,
little
yeah.
back room area.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a granny,
Granny
flat.
flat.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what
And
I was
that's where the pool table was. And he'd just take us into his fridge and there was just like gallons of chocolate.
Too much chocolate.
I don't know. He used to really fucking lean into the chocolate around Easter time.
Was that? Do you reckon he was buying that for the year, or do you reckon he bought that?
No,
all-
because if you looked in there in like May,
There's
that's
no one in
all
there.
gone. It's all gone. Because
What
I
if he
used
was
to
the Easter
when we were
Oh,
young.
so did you
when
just hand them out to family members?
well, when you're young and you see a fridge full of that much chocolate
Yeah,
and it's Easter, you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's great for Easter. But also, I'm coming back here when Easter's done because there's going to be heaps of chocolate still in here. I've found where he keeps the chocolate.
yeah.
It wasn't there after Easter. It just disappeared.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, we used to. The highlight of going to Frank and Phil's was playing pool.
Yeah.
And even from a young age, we didn't play with the cues. We literally just like used to play almost like a shuffleboard with the
Just
pool.
throw on the
with the
balls,
pools. Yeah, we'd use like the white ball and
fang
we'd-
it.
Yeah, we just hit it into another ball and hope that it would go in a pocket, which is actually
because-
a way harder skill.
Yeah.
'Cause you're working with like all sorts of
Yeah,
angles.
because
as the
this
balls
is the
discard.
point where like our head is hardly over the table.
Yeah, we're
You
struggling
can't-
to see, let alone
You
reach.
can't hold a pew.
Nah.
A cue.
And that granny flat was just like
You-
was just like
Sees
his.
it?
That granny
Cute.
flat was alrighty. Yeah, that granny flat was just like his domain. It was just like Frank Senior's crib,
Yeah.
and
Bachelor pad.
a lot of his like dirty laundry, and it was just like no one went in there other than Frank Senior and
Yeah.
probably us.
I don't think Phil has been
Oh
in there
fuck no!
30 years.
And then but there was like this pool cover, which was like a massive wooden plyboard.
Which we still have.
Yeah, we still got that. It's now blue.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then it would when we walked in there, because like probably no one was playing pool for months, and then we'd
Yeah.
go around for like Christmas or Easter, and there'd be like a few months in between these times when we visit the house.
Laundry.
And
Just Frank's dirty jokes
yeah,
on the table.
just skid marks and tank tops,
Holes.
owls, cockroaches,
Oh, God.
Easter egg wrappers, just everything was on there, and we would have to do like the job of picking
Pick
them
him
up.
up by the
Just like
corner.
those. Just a lot of that sort of gear. And like, I don't know where we'd put it. We just like hang it off like one of the exercise
It's
bikes.
like
and
a
it,
core memory, just fang it.
Oh.
over
How
the edge.
annoyed would you be walking back to your sanctum and your shit is just everywhere?
And that wooden
And we
thing
wouldn't put
used to
that
be
back
so
on.
heavy,
It's
man.
the heaviest thing in the
It
planet.
still is,
Joe,
man.
Me and Joe, like aged 8, like
It's like
couldn't.
oak or some shit.
And
It is
we would
fucking heavy.
you'd lift it off and you'd
Oh, yeah.
hold it and then you
Off the bottom.
basically 2 steps over and then you just drop it.
You used to make the loudest noise
Yeah,
on the
legit.
hard wooden floor.
Oh god.
It was a genuine memory. I'm glad that we have essentially been given the pool table. We got given
Yeah.
it when they moved out of the property. Dad managed to go down and salvage it. Did you know that no one else knew that we had it either? I was chatting with our cousins.
How did he transport it?
It
It's
was fucking heavy, man.
How
I
did
just
he do
remember
that
coming-
without anyone
I
knowing?
remember coming back from
That's
work
like a
one day
two-day
and it was
job.
just out the back and I was stunned because I don't know if you remember, my campaign to get a pool table has gone on for about 15 years.
Yeah, there was a time we were planting subliminal images to try and
Yeah,
get it in
I used
Dad's
to
head.
print sheets of paper of pool tables and then just leave them like hanging up in the pantry and on the fridge
Yeah,
in
even
the
plant
hope
the
that dad
seed.
in the hope that dad would like buy one. And
for
then we
your
got one.
for your 21st, I did the like money collection for the gift, and we were going to get
Oh,
a pool
that's
table,
right.
and then we ended up just transferring the money.
$2,000. Yeah,
Fucking hell.
like a stack of cat.
That's
Mate, I had
Yeah, we
like
don't
a
need-
couple
Would
we
you
money.
just get everyone to like put in money instead of buying gifts?
Yeah, so where we used to
Do that for me
I'd
and
like-
just give me the money.
Had like $3,000.
where we
Do
used
that for me.
where we used to work, we used to always do a group present.
Yeah.
I had like 100.
So I just gave Jake the money.
people at that place.
Do that for me.
I did, yeah. It's actually so good. Group present, because then you actually get like one or a couple of things that are actually hell nice rather than a bunch of like
Money's nice.
shitty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice that we have the pool table. The funniest thing is when I can't remember when it was, but we ran into the cousins and we were chatting about what happened after they moved out of the place and
It's
everything.
probably last
Yeah, it would have been.
funeral.
Yeah, probably. That's generally the only time we see our relatives. So it's going to be a while till we see them again. after-
boy.
And then, yeah, so I remember we were chatting about that, and it was more or less like, yeah, where did the pool table like end up? And then I remember like looking at you going, well, it's at ours, isn't it? It's just at ours now. We've managed to pinch that. No, it's been good. The memories will live on. We've had a few Australia Days and a few other parties at my place.
Oh yeah, it's everyone loves the pool table, and only like I don't know 2 people that have a pool table. So it's like if you've got a pool table, everyone loves your
pretty
house.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
I will finish with this. Obviously, Frank Snr, he's getting the Lifetime Award, the Everyday Hero Award this week. We'll finish with one of my favourite stories. This is back in our first ever house. We had a kitchen table set up, and obviously the living room was a little bit further than the kitchen table away. And we were basically turning our carport into like our little garage space into a entertainment space, which always, I don't know if I mentioned this before, it was always just called the new room. And I think it
For about 10 years.
purely because it was the newest room in the house, but we just always called it the new room. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such an odd thing. The funniest thing was when people used to come over and you're like, oh, where are you? And you're like, oh, we'll go play in the new room. And they're like,
How new?
what does that mean?
Just
like, It's just like, it's the new room.
Where'd it
Like,
come from?
how long has this been here? You're like, oh,
10?
15? I don't know.
It's cool name for a room though. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like you're, at least to us, it doesn't sound like you're saying new room.
It had
You're
its
saying
own,
new room.
yeah, it had its own title.
And there would probably be no other room in the world called the new
Nah.
room.
And then essentially what ended up happening that day, so I'm sitting there having my breakfast and we're trying to get the new room organised. So it's a garage / carport at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank, being the bricklayer that he is, was tasked with the job of building said new room and turning it into a nice entertainment type operation. And I remember sitting there having my breakfast, thinking very little of it, but Frank had come over and said g'day to us and had been very chipper. And then he just started getting to work. And it must have been, this is before school, so this is like a Tuesday, Wednesday morning. And I'm sitting there eating my breakfast. And Frank Sr. at the time would have been 75 maybe. Like, and he's an old man. If you look around, if you found someone who was 75, the last thing that they should be doing is playing bricks. I tell you that much for free. I'm sitting there eating my breakfast, and Frank has the world's biggest mallet.
It's literally Thor's hammer.
Yeah, in his hand, and it's like a long one. And there's a little window that separated the kitchen and the carport area.
Yeah.
There was the new room. There was going to be.
Was it a window?
Yeah, it was going to be.
I thought it was just a wall.
It was just a wall.
He was turning it into a door.
Yeah, he was turning it into a doorway with
his fists.
And I'm eating my breakfast, and no more than where that door is away, so 5 meters maximum, Frank Sr. is belting the living suitcase out of this brick wall so to make an archway door that we can go through.
Yeah.
And that's just a vivid memory in my mind, eating my fucking toast and just watching Frank, a 75-year-old man, belt the living fucking suitcase
Out
of a brick wall. And I just couldn't fathom how he was doing it. At the time, you don't think he's old. You're just like, yeah, that's what Papa does. Yeah, he just fucking belts the fuck out of shit. I came back from school that day. The wall was gone. There was a hole in the wall. And I was like, didn't think anything of it. At the age of 25, having never used a mallet, 26, having never used a mallet in my life,
Yeah.
and realizing how hard that thing must have been to actually belt in, you put 50 years on that. What a task.
It's very impressive.
And that's the sort of stuff that he did for, near on 80 years, basically. So,
Light work for him.
yeah, it's just another day in the life of Frankie Mac. So this week's Everyday Hero is going to Frank Sr., our Papa Kenner, who we made mention to the funny names many, many moons ago on the podcast. So feel free to go back and listen to those. But to Frankie Mac, Frank Sr., for a Lifetime Achievement Award, you're winning this week's Everyday Hero. Alrighty, boys, that brings us to the end of another episode of the MacPack podcast, and I believe Riley wanted to say a few things.
Well, boys, I just want to say it was good.
Riley's just been potting us about at the end of every
D-Ray.
episode we do a bit of, you know what, it's time to just pat ourselves on the back. Someone's got to do it. If you haven't left a review on any of the Mac,
you could pat us on the back.
yeah, give us a big pat on the back. If you can, you can join the broadcast. You can't message us.
Oh,
from there.
the fucking mailbag thing.
Oh, the mailbag. That's a good point.
God, I'm good.
I mentioned that we want to start doing a mailbag segment, MacPack mailbag. So ping in your messages for us if you've got any thoughts, queries, topics, suggestions. Just want to have a yarn. Honestly, like just ping us a message of any sorts, and we will read it out on the pod. We'll answer any questions you want. We can tell any stories if you want to. There's lots of stuff that we say in the room that we never address again. We make a lot of promises at the time and we just never talk about them again. If you're listening, or if you're listening not in order, go back and find out exactly what you've been hoping or waiting for 3 years that we haven't actually mentioned
let
to.
us know about it.
But yeah, just ping us in a message. It's
And that email is the macbackpodcast@gmail.com.
yeah, so you can ping us something there. You can just slide into our DMs and yeah, we'll be happy
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing
to
from
be
you.
a part of it. Yeah, we just want to build up a bit of a consumer base for the listeners getting in contact with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's so many stories that we get to have, and there's so many DMs that hit us with like, oh, you should do this, should do this. Let's formalize it. Let's get you on the show. Let's really build this community up. We love it.
Yeah, maybe send us like a creepy story. We could do a big Halloween.
Oh, huge. Yeah, that
Halloween
would be
thing.
good.
Send us anything. Boys, until we do this time next week, stay safe, stay blessed, and always remember to
Go give your mum a hug.
It's ciao for now, bye now forever.